Van? Van White? Okay.
Yep.
Good evening. Board of Education meeting is hereby called to order. We're going to start on time. We're going to begin with the act of reverence and pledge allegiance to the flag, but first we're going to start with a moment of silence in honor of Kiera Jones, 20-year-old student at All City High School who was murdered in cold blood on Tuesday, May 14th. And our thoughts are also with the young lady, 17-year-old student that was also shot. As you know, we have many issues of violence in our community, and unfortunately they are affecting many of our students. So I'll have our student rep lead us in a moment of silence for Kiera Jones. Our thoughts are with her family, and then lead us in the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
I pledge
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have some minutes from a previous meeting. We have acceptance of the April 25th business meeting, the April 2nd budget hearing, the April 9th budget hearing, and the May 9th special meeting. These are all minutes that were sent to board members in advance of this meeting, and I'd entertain a motion to approve that packet of minutes, please. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. All those in favor of acceptance of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. We'll now move on to recognition. The HBCU Heritage Tour participants. For those of you that don't know, HBCU stands for Historically Black College and University. I have a wife and a sister who attended HBCUs, Howard University and Virginia State University. And I believe that we have some students here that are going to present something on behalf of Commissioner White, but I'll accept it on his behalf, being that we look so much alike. And I don't know if Jinga St. Louis is here. Is Jinga here? Ms. Lewis, if you want to come forward, I don't know if you were going to stand with the students. And I will turn it over to our students that are here.
Thank you. We just want to come thank Mr. Van White for giving us the fundings to go on this opportunity that happened on the spring tour. Sorry.
It's all right.
Okay. For being able to go on this tour, it really helps us get a bigger understanding on what little things colleges have that sets off a distinctive feature that other colleges do not have. So it really helps us get a decision on where we want to go by campus life, size, population, the programs that they have there. And with this college tour, it really helped us get an understanding of where we might go, like Temple University or Virginia State. So.
Oh, and we got Mr. Van White a hoodie from one of the colleges we visited.
All right. Yeah. Hey.
So thank you.
Thank you all, and I'll take that hoodie. I'll wear it and wash it before I give it back, Van.
Hey, Malik.
Yes, Van. Commissioner White,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I just I appreciate the thanks, but I wanted to say to the students in Miss St. Louis, thank you. You all do us all very proud, and it is an honor to have you all wear college shirts and thinking about what your future is going to consist of. That is something that we cannot thank you enough for. Thank you very much.
No problem.
And I just want to mention to everyone that it wasn't just myself that was a part of getting these students on board this college trip, but we have Ms. Diane Watkins, a teacher at STEM, in the audience. She was very, very intricate in helping to help the students to fundraise money, and other teachers that were involved in this project. So a lot of people need to be thanked, but especially for the donation that you provided for these students. It really helped them, and it was just a blessing, and a thank you again.
Thank you, Ms. St. Louis. Thank you. Thank you all. We do have, we're going to move on to, and to the students, I look forward to hearing what colleges that you will be attending. We're next going to move on to speakers addressing an agenda item, but I'm also going to add speakers not addressing an agenda item all in one. Now, we have, I think our first 7 speakers, I believe, are not here, but I'll still call their names anyway just to make sure. Geneva Florence, Brooklyn Crockton, Natasia Quick, Facieth Jimerson, Crystal Hunter, Shakura Clark, Yanalise Castillo. Okay. Is Naisha Cologne here? Come forward, Ms. Cologne. You can come right up to the podium. I would ask speakers that once you come up, if you can state your name, your affiliation, and then I'd ask when you hear the beep, that means that it's time for you to conclude your remarks. And Ms. Cologne, you can come up please? Thank you very much. And after Ms. Cologne will be Matu Fika.
Oh, you. Okay. Sorry. My name is Naisha Cologne, and I am here for, school engagement. I could start?
You can talk, yes, you can.
Oh, sorry. We, the teen leaders of the Citizen U program, a program through Cornell Cooperative Extensions in the city of Rochester that focuses on college and career readiness, personal development, and civic engagement, have sought out to understand and help improve the state of our educational environments through our survey, Education is a Privilege. We have noticed the high levels of disengagement within our schools, and we want to make a change. During last year's Stepping Up to Solutions conference at Nazareth College, we utilized the Search Institute's 40 developmental assets and chose to focus our school climate study on asset number 22, school engagement. These assets are identified as the tools necessary to help young children grow up healthy, caring, and responsible, As decisions are being made to improve one of New York State's most challenging school districts, the oversight of any individual who will not be affected by such changes should not take place. Instead, the inclusion of these individuals, teachers, and students should be an important factor in district-wide planning, and surveys are an important way of gathering information. We would like to read a few of the responses from one of our surveys and extend an invitation to everyone to our open dialogue on Thursday, June 13th at 6:30 p.m. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's it?
Yes. Yeah, you still got a little bit more?
Huh?
You still have more to say?
Just a little bit.
Oh, go ahead, finish up, finish up.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Where we will be going over the results of the survey, learn about challenges related to vulnerable populations, disproportionality, and as a community, exchange ways to improve school engagement challenges in the Rochester City School District.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your work. And Matu, did I say your name right?
I'm Mia Walker,
What?
in place for Matu, but she couldn't be
Oh, yeah,
here.
okay, okay, you're standing in for Matu. Okay, go ahead.
I'm here to do the questions on the Education is a Privilege survey. Number 3 says, adults at the school treat all students with respect. And this person put disagree. And this person also put adults have their moments. For number 6, the question says, teachers do a good job of managing distractions in the classroom. This person put disagree, and this person put they can't handle the kids. Question 9 says, students are treated fairly when they break school rules. This person put neither agree or disagree. And that person also put kids do what they want. Question 11 says, I feel like I'm treated with respect by both students and school staff. This person put neither agree or disagree, and put kids yell and scream and curse, and adults do too. This person put, for question 14, it says teachers have all necessary supplies in the classroom in order to teach. This person put disagree and put we need more supplies to help the kids. And this person is a teacher/administrator.
Thank you. Bianca Martinez, and also Crystal Agosto.
I could-
Yes, just tell me what school you go to and grade you're in.
I go to All City High. I'm in 12th grade. I am Bianca Martinez from Making a Difference, Dress Whole Cat peer leader. Today I'm going to speak about school lunches. I strongly believe that school lunches would be better and better tasting. I strongly believe that if school lunches were better and better tasting, that most kids would do better in classes and actually attend classes. Most kids do not like to attend classes because school lunches are not always properly cooked, which leads to them skipping lunch and not participating in class due to being hungry. We understand that obesity is a problem, but so is the city school dropout rate. If school lunches were better, more kids would stay in school instead of leaving for school lunches. We are hoping that more thought and efforts are made to improve school lunches. We like our school lunches menus to be healthy, tasty, and properly cooked. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal Agosto.
I go to James Monroe High School, and I'm in the 9th grade. Thank you, board, for letting us speak. My name is Crystal Augusto, and I am MAD Making a Difference, a threshold CAP peer leader. Today, I'm going to speak about school lunches. Our group surveyed other students and found that nearly half of them eat lunch every day. 70% do not think school lunches are healthy, and 98% of the students prefer a different menu. We are hoping that more thoughts and efforts are made to improve school lunches. We like our lunch menu to be healthy, tasty, and properly cooked. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give our students a round of applause because it takes a lot for them to come up with this. Let me thank our students. Greatly appreciate you coming. Mary Jo Brock, and followed after Mary Jo will be Jean Miller.
I'm Mary Jo Brock, and I'm Service Director of Family Resource Centers of Crestwood Children's Center. I'm here on behalf of Family Resource Centers to ask that you support reinstating UPK seats at our Peter Castle Family Resource Center, where we understand we are at risk of losing in this recent RFP process. We thank you for this opportunity to address the resolution before you tonight regarding approval of Crestwood Children's Center as a community-based provider of the UPK program. Though we were distraught at our omission in the resolution to the board in April, we are grateful for that consideration at this meeting. Family Resource Centers has been continuously implementing this universal pre-K program since its introduction to our Rochester community. Our neighborhood-based model, working with families in welcoming, accessible centers, lends itself well to the offer of pre-K, which so depends on effective engagement of parents in their child's continuing growth and education. Currently, we provide UPK at 2 classrooms at 2 locations, Southwest Family Resource Center, Genesee and Main Street, and Peter Castle Family Resource Center on Joseph Avenue and Avenue D. We noted the notice of this resolution that you have before you tonight came with a memo that advised that we were only being allotted 18 seats, 1 classroom at our Southwest Center. In keeping with the expectations of the recent RFP, we proposed a full capacity, a morning and afternoon class at each of our 2 centers. We expected, minimally, that we would continue to serve families through UPK at both centers. We have asked that this limitation of UPK delivery to only our Southwest Center be reconsidered, and we ask your support in that. Peter Castle Family Resource Center on Avenue D is situated in a diverse, bilingual neighborhood, as you are aware. Families often have few resources and high needs. Parents have frequently expressed appreciation that not only do we offer early childhood education at Peter Castle, but we also offer evidence-based parenting education classes right on site, a valuable combination of services for families. I did include in your packet some information about our Peter Castle site. We have had the fortunate experience of offering families an integrated classroom there in collaboration with Stepping Stones Learning Center. And because of that, we only need to ask for 11 seats that are reimbursable through UPK. That's a really important point. It's not that we're underutilized, It is because of our collaboration with Stepping Stones. So in conclusion, I really please ask that you support keeping Peter Castle in the mix of options that are available to families in that neighborhood so that we can universally reach out to all families to make pre-K a universal option and make it available to the folks in that neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Jean Miller.
Hello, I'm Jean Miller, and I work with Family Resource Centers. I work with the Family Development Coordinator at the Peter Castle Family Resource Center, welcoming families into our center, recruiting neighborhoods to our UPK program, and helping families to enroll. I'd like to speak on behalf of the families who participate at Peter Castle Family Resource Center, so you might have some idea how much they value our program. I will share with you some of the comments that were gathered in March of this year in a family survey. So they represent families' current experiences with our family resource centers. When asked, what do you value most about this program? Here are some of the responses. I value most the time each teacher puts into my kids to make them feel as if they're the only student in the school. That the program takes time to make sure that every child is okay, and that the children learn what they need to know at this age. The fact that the teachers take time to really get involved with the children and to know their needs. They take time to teach their students the value of friendship, learning, and kindness. I value most about this program that my daughter has kids her age to play with, and that she can learn how to get along with others, and this is going to help her get ready for school. I value the social skills that my son is developing. It's helped my daughter to be more social and deal with anger a little better. My child is engaging with other children. My child is learning skills. My kid has a chance to learn. That the children are learning very well and have parents participate when needed. The kind and polite manner shown by the teachers to myself and the children. The teachers are nice and they really care about the children. If you don't have winter wear, they know where you can go to get help. The personal relationship staff have with the parents and family members. My child's safety and the way she learns and listens. Safe, very friendly, respectful environment for my child. How much fun my child has in school. That my child enjoys coming to school. The teacher always keeps me informed and updated about everything involving my child. We value this feedback from each parent and caregiver. We think it speaks well to the quality of our pre-K program at Peter Castle. We appreciate this opportunity to share this with you and hope it will prompt you to reinstate our ability to continue to serve families at our Peter Castle Center. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bridget Shumway. And after Bridget Shumway will be Whitney Lawson.
Good evening. My name is Bridget Shumway. I'm the president of Generations Child Care. I'm here this evening to express my concerns on the recent UPK selection process. I appreciate the time, dedication, and commitment each of you have to fulfilling the mission of the Rochester City School District. I know we all want the same, which is to give every child the best shot at becoming all they can be. A bit about Generations. This is our 20th anniversary with 7 centers, 4 of which serve children in Rochester. All are nationally accredited, and we have an excellent OCFS record. In short, we are an excellent provider with long-term dedicated staff. I thought long and hard about whether I wanted to even participate in the process this year. My most recent history with the district was not positive, but along with my program manager, I attended the question and answer session to determine our decision. We decided to participate. Given the makeup of the committee, the fact that the selections would be made by that committee, and that the committee would evaluate proposals on specific criteria. So, it has been reported that the determinations on the number of children a provider will be awarded was based on a ranking out of the selection process, along with their ability to fill the slots awarded. It was reported that this ranking was completely numerical. I'm not convinced of that. Allow me to point to examples of how the rankings are flawed. Based on information from providers, only a quarter of those that submitted proposals had a site visit, worth 20%. Only select committee members were allowed to see budget submissions, worth 15%. Additionally, I learned that only 2 of my 4 locations were being considered prior to any committee vote. I do believe that Generations has been prejudiced in several ways. Should you be concerned and want additional information, I have provided in the package a few emails, as well as a recent submission made last week during a meeting with Dr. Vargas and several providers. I want to publicly thank the superintendent for agreeing to hold that meeting. I think in doing so, he's making good on the comments he recently made at the RBA Stronger Partnership Forum. I was, however, greatly disappointed that a district employee took a cheap shot at me by announcing, since you asked, Generations was ranked 20th. You will see from my FOIL request that I did not ask about agency specifics, and this attempt to publicly discredit my company was totally out of line. We don't even allow our 4-year-olds to do that, and only underscored my original concern about working with the district. In closing, Generations Child Care has your children years before you do. Additionally, we had 100 children previously enrolled in UPK. My 4-year-olds are your 4-year-olds. Let's do the right thing for these children. I am told that Generations was selected unanimously to be a UPK provider. The district should value all of the 4-year-olds in our care and offer the contract at each of our locations, as they have done with other multi-site providers. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Shumway. Whitney Lawson, and after Whitney Lawson will be Valerie Baratini.
Good evening. My name is Whitney Lawson. Currently, I am a teacher with the Rochester City School District. However, that may change tonight. The board has been given the task of voting on whether I will continue with the Rochester City School District. So I'm here tonight to just express a little bit of my reasoning for wanting to continue in my current post. As a product of the Rochester City School District, going from number 44 school to Monroe Middle School to School of the Arts, graduating, going on to all local schools, Rochester Institute of Technology, and then getting my master's at Roberts Wesleyan, I value working in this community. Watching my mother as a teacher for the past, 17 years, working in her classrooms as I grew up, working in my grandmother's classroom where she worked her way up from a paraprofessional all the way up to being, the paraprofessional union president. I've been invested in this community, in this district, since I can remember. This is home for me. I love my kids. It's been a tough year, but it's a year to learn from and a year to grow from, I believe, if I'm given that opportunity. Pretty much, I love to teach. I want to do it with the children who inspired me to go into this career in the first place. And I basically just want to help this district continue to try to move forward in the best possible way. Thank you.
Thank you. Valerie Baratini.
Good evening. There's a saying, history repeats itself because no one was listening the first time. Just a short time ago, the school board decided to close my former school, school number 14. School number 14 was home to over 150 English language learners, or ELL students. These are children whose families have been torn from their homeland and come to America in search of a safe haven. These families trust our education system to do what is right for their children. These are families who, for a variety of reasons, do not understand how to navigate the system and are therefore unable to advocate when their child's school is threatened to be closed. Many, many people now admit that it was an error to close school number 14. School number 44, my current school, is now facing closure. We also have a significant ELL population. Like school number 14, many of our families do not know how to navigate the system and advocate for School 44 to remain open. I understand that buildings must be closed. I understand the difficult position of the school board in having to decide which schools must cease to exist. I also understand that teaching and learning are more than test scores. It is often about feeding the spirit of a child. It is about welcoming families. It is about providing a home. School number 44 does this every day. School 44 has been a beacon of hope for many students and their families. We know our students. While our test scores may not be where we want them right now, we have a plan for the future. I urge you to reconsider your original plan that included modernization of School 44, not school closure. Please don't let history repeat itself. Choose to listen this time.
Thank you. Let me thank the speakers that came up to speak tonight, particularly the students. It was great to hear them speak about the 40 developmental assets. I heard some people speak about the UPK issue, and I've asked the superintendent to provide the board with a detailed background on the RFP process, how it was laid out, and plans for ways to move forward this coming year. So I want to thank those folks for also speaking. And then the students that spoke about the school lunches, thank you. And I would just tell the students that spoke about lunches to continue to write the board. Commissioner Elliott, she's been working on on a food process committee, and we do have a food process committee looking at food services. So I would encourage people to write board members, write the superintendent, write our current developer, Aramark, and continue to let us know about food process. And I think we have two other speakers that are here that I'm going to let speak that aren't on agenda items. Adam McFadden's not coming. Bruce Dunn and Annette Cathy, are they here? Yes, Bruce Dunn, and then after Bruce will be Annette Cathy. Both of you can please come forward.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Bruce Dunn. I live at 165 Burlington Avenue in the city. I'm a retired teacher, and I have presently 13 grandchildren attending the city school district, and I'm quite happy that they're doing so. The reason I'm here tonight is to talk about Common Core, and I'd like to add my own quote. Ronald Reagan once said that the 9 worst words you can ever hear are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." And that's what this has happened now. With Common Core, even though they say this is a state-run project, it is not. The government had $4.35 billion, which they talked the states into adopting a series of things called Starting with Race to the Top, which was a program that you had to apply in order to get this grant. 46 states applied for this, and so they were locked into Common Core because of that. That's one of the requirements for accepting these grants. At the present time, there are 5 states that didn't, but there are 11 others that are trying to opt out of this now because they've investigated it, and they're determining that it is not what it's supposed to be. It's not going to improve education. It's going to manage that the federal government is going to take over your schools. You will not have local control. I don't know what the board's going to do, because all they're going to have to do is do what the federal government tells them to do. Your schools are not going to be yours anymore. And the other thing that's going to happen is that they have something called longitudinal data systems, which are going to require that all kinds of information about you, your children, and the things you do are going to be put into a database. Some of the things are dental records, birthmarks, hair, eye color, weight, height, immunization, health insurance covered, psychiatric problems, results of medical tests, blood type tests, weight at birth, gestational age at birth, health conditions at birth, dwelling arrangements and ownership, homeless status, attitudes toward debt acquisition, media used in household, number of credit cards and average total balance, members engaged in public service. I could go on, but the recent things about the IRS, which were interference in people's lives, is just going to be the tip of the iceberg as far as this goes. We don't need all this stuff given to the federal government, which they can use to distribute to anyone that wants it. It's not going to necessarily be educationally, but it's going to be something that they can use anywhere they want. And, oops, sorry about that. Because I didn't have the half an hour that I wanted, I have brought a number of papers on Common Core that are found out on that table in the hallway, and I certainly invite those of you who wish to have them to take them and read it, Google things, get involved, and try to do something for your school while you still can. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Ms. Kathy.
My name is Annette Cathy. I'm a concerned grandparent and an alumni of Virginia State University, graduating 1977. I'm here because my granddaughter was denied sibling preference to start kindergarten at school number 58, World of Inquiry, because the registration form missed the deadline. They sent the registration form but via my granddaughter in her book bag. Why would they send such an important letter via a pre-K child? The deadline was missed, and I'm here asking that you will consider letting my granddaughter enter school number 58. Financially, it would cost the district more to send 2 buses to a sitter's home. Also, emotionally, it would be not of best interest for my granddaughter to ride a school bus at the age of 5 without her older siblings who attend school number 58. Educationally, I think my granddaughter would benefit from the same educational environment as her 2 older siblings. I wrote a letter to Superintendent Vargas, mailed it on April 13th. Mr. Evans says to write the board, but I have not received a response to date. I also wrote a letter to Administrator Jerome Underwood shortly thereafter. I have not received a response. I have a copy of the letter that I sent to Dr. Vargas, and I would like to leave that with you. Thank you.
Thank you. You can leave that to the clerk. And Miss Kathy, can you just, if Anita Murphy can raise her hand, if you can just give your information to Anita Murphy so we can make sure that we do contact you on this matter. Thank you. That concludes our, did you send me the names? Do you have them? There were 3 other parents here from whose names got left off the list. If those 3 parents can come forward, are they here? School, and just state your name. Come on up. Is there one other?
Yes.
Okay. Please come forward. And you can state your name for the record and your background.
Lakia Bostic, and I'm currently the PTO president of school number 44.
Thank you.
My name is Kevin Lewis, and I'm also part of the father of 44 schools.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Ms. Morse, my children attend 44 school.
Thank you. And we'll start with Ms. Bostic, please.
Hello, I'm here today asking you, first of all, to adjourn your voting for tonight, to give parents enough time to speak about this issue. We got notified last week that you guys were going to go and vote as of today. We have 16 different languages in our school at the present time, which I feel is very unfair to those because we're unable to notify them to even be here present today. So I'm asking you to adjourn the vote for closing number 44 to give our parents in our community a chance to speak on this decision.
Thank you. Mr. Lewis?
Also, just adding to that, Mr. Evans, is just, when we spoke, Mr. Vargas and I, when they came to 44 school about closing 44, it's almost like Oklahoma right now. That storm that came and destroyed so many lives and homes, well, that school is the same way with 100 years of a history that stands so strong with us because families and our kids who are now going there, we went there. My wife graduated from there in the 6th grade, went there from elementary. So it has a legacy, let alone just to see it become empty because of a part of a Greenland. I can't see where that outside has to do what's going on the inside. And there are so many potential teachers who are there for the students as well, you know. But if we was to bring down the 7th and 8th graders and go back to elementary, pre-K to 6th grade, I think that those scores that they spoke about being so low will raise back up because they're dealing with too many different, what I want to say, estrogens, if you know what I mean. So just keep that in mind, would you please, because I would not like to see 44 closed up.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Moore?
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My initial school home is 37. Number 37 school is Lewis Morgan, and it is now a charter school, and we are now at 44. So I do not agree with the closing of 44 school because it's not solving any problems. And then we complain about test scores. The children aren't up to par with the test scores. Well, you have a mass exodus leaving the city school district because of politics. I don't agree with it. Why can't we work at a better solution? I do not agree with Brizard and his mess he left. I feel that Chicago got Brizard out of there. We should be able to reverse his decisions. So I really feel that do not, at this point in time, close the school. Let us commune together, again, find better solutions to this problem, to this challenge.
Thank you, Ms. Morris. Thank you. We will now move to the superintendent's report. Mr. Superintendent, do you have a report this evening? A brief report this evening?
Yes, all right. Thank you, President Evans. I would like to give you an update on the very important topic that I have been talking about for quite some time in this community. It's interesting that our prior speaker mentioned Chicago. And we are trying to prevent what happened in Chicago. What happened in Chicago today is my understanding that for the first time in history, any community get to close over 50 schools last night at the school board. The reality is that no one, President Evans, wants to close school. And every superintendent wants to see their district growth. And every board member and every member of this community want to see the same thing, and to see a district that is striving, that parents, teachers, and students are happy, and you have a dynamic situation. Unfortunately, our enrollment projection, which I have brought to your attention several times, is very clear that over the next several years, we can lose anywhere from 2,400 to 3,000 plus students by the year 2017. The impact that this will have in the operation of our school, I don't need to tell you, are enormous, and it is our responsibility to get in front of the problem rather than to stay behind. I have been engaged in the community, and you intend so coming with solution. The reality is that when you have excess space and you have a budget gap, you have choice to make. We want to maintain programs that have a direct impact on our children. I think that you have demonstrated to this community that we can get through budget challenges at the same time that we address the unique needs of our student population. I would like to bring to your attention to page 3 here in my presentation, where it gives you the specific projection. There are 3. We believe that by the year 2017, the charter school will grow from today around 3,500 students to 5,600. That is our best projection. However, it could go up to 6,712 students, and no one will believe that the charter school won't grow. So I will ask you almost to ignore the bottom one, because there's no one that I know of will say that the growth of charter school would be frozen. Now, we could debate the reason why, and I'm interested in that debate, but the reality is that we had to take the situation as it is, not as we would like to be. I would like to be in a district that we are growing, that I would never have a situation in which I had to recommend to the board or to the community that we had to close school, because we all treasure them. There's no question that we have memories, we have special connection to the building, to the space, and the community are impacted. But that at the end of the day, how do you lessen the impact is an essential question. So I ask of you to reflect on this issue, because this is something that I have been talking to the community. As President Evans in our last meeting acknowledged that for the first time we went talked to the community for about 12 weeks in a very open, transparent way, and the Board of Education, you as a body also had many discussions. As you can see in the next page, this is similar information, it's just presented in a different way. And you are on page 5, you are used to this chart that you've seen before. Now, this is another area that I want to bring to your attention in my report that we need to resolve and address, and that is the notion of class size. Some of you have said, yes, when you have a challenge like we have an opportunity. Everyone in education will tell you that this chart, we had to address this information. People will tell you that it would be much better to have class size at the high school level that are, let's say, approximate to that of kindergarten rather than the reverse. As you can see, briefly, I'd like to bring to your attention, 11th and 12th graders had the lowest class size. That means that if the board and us as a district want to make adjustment, it has an impact, but the adjustment will be done aiming our goal of getting our children to read by 3rd grade. If I had an opportunity to assign dropout rate to school, certainly I would begin with elementary school, because when we fail to teach our children to read on grade level by 3rd grade, we are beginning to put that child in jeopardy of graduating. Now, you will agree with me that a kid, no child in pre-K or kindergarten or 1st grade or 2nd grade or 3rd grade make that choice. Thank God that we do the best we can to bring them up to par. But the reality is that when we fail to provide strong early literacy, particularly reading, that we beginning to put the district and the student population further at risk than when they came to us. So I bring that to your attention because as we right-side the district, we also need to take a look, not just at closing building, but what is that we want to do for our students. And that is perhaps the most important question, and one which brings us a unique opportunity. That concludes my report, President Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Questions for the superintendent related specifically to his report on enrollment and class size projections for the coming years?
Yes, Mr. President.
Commissioner Powell.
This isn't new information, and we have seen charts like this before, so I've had a chance to ask myself some questions about why grades 11 and 12 are so different. And it occurs to me that among other reasons, these are can be attributed directly to programs that the state has asked us to implement. The CTE courses, for example. The first year, the CTE courses are these career and technical education courses. The first year, either 9th or 10th grade, is like a survey course where they have an opportunity to see the variety of offerings within a discipline. For instance, in construction, they have an opportunity to see just a little bit of plumbing and a little bit of carpentry and a little bit of electrical, and then in subsequent years they refine that effort. But those classes are capped at 15. We don't, if you recall seeing the CTE applications, they only take in 15 students. So even if we had perfect attendance, based solely on the number of students allowed into the program, they're capped at 15. So how much of this, Dr. Vargas, is impact, and how much of our high schools, grades 11 and 12 specifically, are CTE courses, and how much of an impact does that have on the total?
Actually, we can break that to you by class, and this is unique across the board. And the sad reality is that particularly 11 and 12, you begin to have the larger dropout because the kid begin to turn 17 and 18 and 19. And what I'm asking the board, not to make any decision, but to reflect on the best knowledge that we have. And that is that we want to invest on early childhood education. And we are not going to get perhaps additional dollars from the state or the federal government, and giving out declining enrollment. We could stop the declining enrollment by retaining more of our students. And that's one that we have control of our destinies. We can't just keep saying that it's charter school. I actually believe that parents make decisions based on the best information that they have. We will give you the breakdown, but again, this is a reflection. I appreciate your question. Your question is a very important question as you move forward. I'm asking the community, I'm asking the district, I'm asking teacher from pre-K to 12th grade also to ask the same question. I'm asking administrator, paraprofession, all the bargaining unit, what is that we need to do to turn the district? It will not happen, as you asked me the question, which is another important question, Commissioner Powell. You say, how long would it take to turn the district around. It will take some time. This is no matter that most superintendents will tell you that this is not to build a career. This is something that you tackle because you want to change the trajectory of the city in terms of the education that our district provide. Your question is a very important one, and we can break it down. And I also will ask you also to put it in the context of long-term strategy.
Thank you. Any other questions for the superintendent related to enrollment projections? Commissioner?
It's not related to enrollment projections.
Yes.
Okay. Any more related to enrollment projections before we go to the
Malik?
questions not related to enrollment projections?
Malik?
Yes, Commissioner White.
Yeah, I beg my indulgence from my colleagues who are at finance, but I just wanted to repeat an observation that I've made of the whole school closure and reduce the footprint. Here's what I was saying the other night, and I'll keep it very brief tonight, though. The state is telling us we need to reduce our footprint because we don't have the students to fill these buildings. So they tell us to close 5 schools, and we have worked mightily to do that. There's some concern about 44 school that was addressed by some of the speakers, but we've tried to close 5 schools. We've closed 4. There probably will be a 5th in there somewhere because the state says we don't have the capacity to fill these schools. But yet at the same time, this is the same State Department of Education that is telling us that through the Assembly and the Senate, we're going to expand the number of charter schools. Now, just the other day, Commissioner Powell helped me raise my blood pressure a little bit because she read to me, as I was Skyping into a finance meeting, a list of schools that the state has received applications, charter school applications. Now, it's clear in looking at these schools that some people have the same ideas we have about attracting the best and the brightest students and parents to schools. And I'll get to that list in a second. But what's interesting is the state, after having telling us to close.
Well,
They're going to go.
Oh, hello?
Can you still hear me?
Yep,
Hold
go
on.
ahead.
Okay. Where do you think these charter school students are going to go? They're going to go into the exact same 5 buildings, perhaps some other building, that we've closed down. And what students do you think are going to be housed in those new charter school buildings? The same students that the State Department of Education was telling us we don't have the capacity to fill those buildings. We're losing students. The students that they say we don't have the capacity to put in buildings are the very same students that are going to the charter schools. So these are kids that are coming from Riga and Brighton. They're telling us we don't have enough students to fill our buildings, yet they're creating these charter schools that are going in former public school buildings. And one other thing I think that's worth noting that my colleagues ought to consider. If you look at that list, Will, I don't have it, but I'm sure you have it around there somewhere. If you look at that list, here's the real irony, here's the real tragedy. Here is what I've said to you all is not inevitable. There are those who are telling you this decline in student enrollment is inevitable. Well, one, we know it's not inevitable because these very same schools that we're closing down, the state is opening up charter school upon charter school, and they will house in our buildings former Rochester City School District students. But here's the real tragedy of this, and here's why it's not necessary. If you look at that list that Willa distributed yesterday at the finance meeting, and I think actually it was someone from the administration that had given us this list. If you look at the proposed charter schools, you know what's on that list? Soda 2. Someone out there, I think it's someone who used to work in the district, actually used to work at Soda, wants to create a Soda 2 because he realizes what we already have realized through 2 administrations, that there is a demand for this high quality type school. Best practices requires that we replicate this, but yet we haven't done it in 2 years through 2 administrations. They've steadfastly said no. What is going to happen? Someone's going to open up that charter school. The state's going to approve it because they say we don't have the capacity to fill these schools. And that charter school will open up with district students, not from Brighton, not from Riga, not from Pittsburgh, not from Penfield, but they will be district students, and they will be our best and our brightest. Another school that's on that list, ladies and gentlemen, is Freedom School. They want to open up a charter school. Now, what's interesting about this pattern is, again, the state is telling us we don't have the capacity to fill these schools. They're saying, notwithstanding that fact, let's open up some charter schools. Those charter schools, you and I and everybody sitting in that room knows, will be filled with district students and some of the most supportive and engaged parents that this district had, right? And they will be going to schools that we as a district rejected. They will be going to thematic schools that we sat on our hands and said, no, you go ahead and do whatever you want to do. We're not interested. We are contributing to our own demise. This is not inevitable. This loss of enrollment doesn't have to happen. If you just said, we're going to open up Soda Tube, which is what an independent proprietor is now saying. If you just said what an independent proprietor is saying about Freedom School, we're going to open up a Freedom School. We're going to open up a Soda Tube. Everybody in that room knows people would fall hand over fist to get into those schools. This demise, this hemorrhaging, ladies and gentlemen, is not necessary. And you know why we know it's not necessary? Because as the state is telling us close 5 schools, they're opening up at least 5 charter schools that will house city school district students, our best and our brightest. Not necessary. This doesn't have to happen. I believe this problem around. And the inspiration behind it is contained right in those charter school listing, which we have some of those ideas already, but we've just sat on our hands.
Thank you. Commissioner White. Anything else related to student enrollment projections or the superintendent's presentation?
Just in follow-up to Commissioner White's, I was a guest at the Finance Committee meeting, and after Commissioner White gave a similar accounting of our current state of affairs, I said ditto. I say ditto again. I agree with Commissioner White, and I would also say that, while the superintendent was noting the situation in Chicago, we really do have parallels in Chicago. It's not a situation of where we must act in order to avoid a Chicago-type situation. On scale, we are in a parallel situation, and Commissioner White described it eloquently as we're pushing and we're being pushed by state and other policies and pressures and funding. Blackmail, let's just say blackmail, because we're forced into situations that our local governance, our local families, our students, our parents don't want. And, we're being pushed and prodded, and the only way that we're going to be able to mount, resistance to this trend is through really, really organized collective action. So I hope that I can be helpful as a policy person, but really the faith I have lies with you all, and thank you for the speakers coming out tonight. And early childhood education is key, and we should honor that by fixing the RFP process for pre-K.
Thank you. Commissioner Elliott, you had a question that wasn't related to the...
Right. I wanted if the superintendent will discuss what's been in the media lately around teacher absenteeism. Can you discuss that, Mr. Superintendent?
Other than it's a concern that I share, but to be fair, it's not just limited to that concern that I share. It's a top-down culture that we have here that we are dealing with. And that begins from people in central office all the way across the organization. We had to address it, and I'm addressing that. And I'm working collaborative with teachers. Many of them have shared great insight, which I appreciated. What is unfair is to say that it's just about teacher. It's an organizational culture that you heard me speak before. Actually, the day after, the same day that you appointed me as your superintendent, I told you that we had to transform the culture of this organization, and that's one area that we are attending to it. But to be fair, it's not just about, the data suggests that the problem is a serious problem, one which I have faith on the leadership of all the 4 bargaining units and the people who work here, and everyone, just like I have tackled the issue of student attendance. We will work collaboratively like we are trying to do with family, with everyone here to address this issue, and we are addressing it.
Well, the issue, as they reported in the media, was teachers. But or do we see that a similar trend with others, groups who are non-teachers? Is that what you're saying?
It's a serious problem throughout the organization. Okay. And to be fair, what I'm saying, Commissioner Elliott, that what prompted me to write that email was a great concern about a particular day. Actually, many of the feedback that I received was very incisive, which I'm very appreciative, and point to a larger problem all the way from administration, which began with me, and not pointing finger at anyone but me, that we had to deal with this issue in a very timely fashion.
Mr. President?
Okay, any other questions related to other issues? You have something related to another issue,
The
Superintendent?
same issue that was
All right,
just
and then
raised.
after that, we're going to move on to committee reports. If it's not about the enrollment projections or the report that the superintendent gave. Commissioner Powell.
Well, the reason I wanted to follow up on this, when we talk about being fair to the issue, you know, the issue was presented in the paper, and not by yourself, Mr. Vargas, but in the paper, as essentially vilifying teachers. But isn't it also true that a very large number of these teachers were pulled out of the classroom in order to grade tests? The myriad of state-mandated tests. It became a problem because we don't have the capacity within our substitute teaching pool to fill all those vacancies. And yet, we want to apply all of the blame to the teachers for not being there, but many of the teachers on that list were absent from the classroom because they were grading state-mandated tests. So we have to be careful about the narrative. We have to be careful not to fall into a narrative that's vilifying teachers for no other reason but because it satisfies a particular narrative. Yes, we've got an attendance problem, but would that attendance problem have been so bad if our teachers didn't have to be grading tests on that particular day? Thank you.
All right, move on to committee reports. We're going to start with our standing committee reports, but before we go to our standing committee reports, a student rep, you have a report to give, a brief report?
Yes, and if Carly and Tiara could join me at the podium, please. So 2 weeks ago, the Student Leadership Congress held its first annual student art auction to raise funds for our trip to Washington. And our goal was to raise $500, and we raised $1,425. So that was awesome. And we would like to thank all community members, parents, and RCST staff who came out to support us. We also had many public officials attend the event, including 2 of our board members, Mr. Cruz and Ms. Campos, and we actually have, we know you bought a piece, but we also have a piece to give you to thank you for showing your support and to our group, so if you could just give that to him. Thank you so much. And now if Nidia Padilla would come up, please, and join us at the podium. I don't want to hear it. We would like to We would like to thank and recognize Nidia for all of her support, dedication, and love. You show commitment to every member and the group, and we really appreciate that you have taken such a strong role in leading us and guiding us in all our initiatives and supporting us in our visions and our dreams. And okay. We are excited that you have been on board with us this year, and we're really looking forward to working with you in the future and grow with you as our advisor and as a group. And I know Carly and Tiara would like to say something too.
Hi. Well,
Well, I know that all of us really appreciate you with everything that you do. You're an amazing person to be a part of everything that we do. And we just really appreciate it because you have such a big heart and you're willing to do pretty much anything, like to watch us succeed and be able to grow and learn about life.
So
guys are
thank
gonna make me
Hi, so Nydia, everything that you've done this year has been really amazing. You have done and you've supported us in everything that SOC has done this year 100%. And on behalf of everyone in SOC, I want to show, like, we really appreciate you and it's greatly appreciated. And I want to thank you so much for all that you've done and all that you've done for me personally. And it's greatly appreciated.
Thank you. I'm shocked. I didn't expect this. This is not what you're supposed to do. I'm doing my job. But I do love working with all of you. I believe in our children, and I do want to thank Patty Gallivan for your assistance. I want to thank Beverly for being there, for Commissioner Jose Cruz and Melissa Campos, our superintendent, who actually put the first bid, and that really gave us a lot of excitement of moving forward. And you know, this is not about me, it's about all of us working together as a team. And I had a great team. T.D. Becker, who's not here, the AmeriCorps Vista person, Cecilia DeFranco, and Wanda Pedraza, who, without all of us working together as a team, we would have never pulled this off. But thank all of you for coming forward and purchasing artwork. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Nydia, for your work with the group, and thank you, Sophie and team. Thank you very much. Is our parent representative here? Okay. We'll move on to standing committee reports. Commissioner Adams and the Audit Committee.
The Audit Committee met on Tuesday, May 14th with Freed Maxick CPAs, the board's external auditor, to review the audit plan for the financial audit for the year ending June 30th, 2013. Freed Maxick expressed their appreciation to the board for being selected to continue as the board's external auditor for another contract term. Freed Maxick reviewed their engagement team, reporting timetable, and audit objectives, developments affecting the district risk assessment, and audit approach with the Audit Committee. The committee will be meeting with Freed Maxick in December to review the final audit results, and all board members will be invited to attend. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. Commissioner Cruz, looks like you all have been very busy with the Policy Committee. I see we have 12 policy revisions under new business tonight.
Yeah, there are a few, and we're introducing them tonight as informational items. First one is a proposed revision to the school safeties policy, Safe Schools policy to incorporate provisions of notifying parents. We've had a number of conversations, had a number of people who came to committee to talk about the kinds of issues with regard to parent notification. And we have, through the auspices of Ed Lopez's office, have added an additional clause that really specifies what our aim is with regard to parent notification. I think it was a good clause. I think it's general enough, gives us some flexibility, but also talks about our responsibility to communicate with parents in the event that there are issues and concerns. So that is before you, again, as an informational item. Also, we have, as a result of a series of conversations we've had the last couple of months, there's a revision of the Code of Conduct to clarify that the same minimum standards of behavior that apply to board members also apply, I should say, that apply to district staff and students also apply to board members as well. So that our conduct here at the district or on district grounds or even at community meetings should be one of respect and one of courtesy to folks, and that and if it is a problem, then we should be called on it. Also, proposed credential options for students with disabilities policy provides guidelines as a way in which students with disabilities can earn a high school diploma. We had a good conversation about that as well, and the policy is legally mandated to ensure that these students have similar opportunities for earning diplomas as other students do. Provision for revision of the student individual education plan, policy to provide electronic access to students, IEP to teachers and service providers. Recent changes in state laws allow the districts to use electronic means to provide IEP information. And also proposed revision of appointing and training members of the Committee on Special Ed to require attendance of a parent representative to CSE meetings only when requested by 72 hours in advance. The proposed policy change also reflects recent changes in New York State law. You'll see a recurring theme in all of these, and that is that we're really looking at all of our policies to make sure they're compliant with New York State ed law. And so that's why some of these are very minor tweaks. Others a little bit more substantial, but for the most part, we are, again, our aim at the committee level is to get our policies back into full compliance with state law. Also provides proposed revision to the following policies for child abuse and maltreatment policy to remove the requirement for a superintendent to provide a report to the board every 2 years. And we struck that because in light of the numerous reporting requirements in this situation, the additional requirement did not seem necessary. Revised revision of the following policies. These policies that I'm going to name next, there are 6 of them. Really, they were tweaking a word, tweaking a reference to an old policy that didn't exist or anything like that. So again, these are very minor changes. You have those as well in your packets. The constitutionally protected prayer in schools, public use of school facilities, school district policy against harassment of students or employees, gifts to school personnel, interpreters for hearing impaired parents, and electioneering in schools. Again, very small, minor technical changes, but again, they're included in your packet this evening. Each month, the policy committee plans to review a section. We're getting down towards the end of the manual. And again, a lot of the policies that are going to come up before you are really going to be technical tweaks or compliance issues with regard to state law. Our next committee meeting is going to be June the 13th, immediately following the Finance Committee meeting. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Commissioner Adams, you have a question?
Yep, could I just ask a quick question? At the former policy meeting, the one before last, there was discussion about the Values Committee and the policy connected with that. And the Values Committee was established many years ago, long before I served on the board. But it seemed like it was a really good function and an important function, especially in light of current concerns about supporting students' social, behavioral, emotional needs, addressing school climate, for lack of a better term, and so on. Was there any progress in reaching out to the former conveners of that?
Actually, there wasn't. Thank you very much for that. It should have been on the report. It wasn't, but yes, the former Values Committee was put together many years ago. It created a whole list of, I don't know, about 42 different values that were 24 different values that we are all about in terms of our children. And Ed Lopez should have met by now, right, with yesterday with Mr. Bill, for 2 hours with Bill Benet, who was one of the original members of the commission. And so they're going to have a conversation and come back to the policy committee about what our next steps should be. So yes, we are re-engaging that committee. I think we're going to take a look at those values and see if maybe there's another way to reorganize them, but we're waiting for the staff to come back with some response on that. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Commissioner White, if you can hear me in the,
Yeah, I can hear you.
do you have an ESA committee report?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. Yeah, the Excellent Student Achievement Committee met on Monday, May 13th, to receive a quarterly report from the Department of Teaching and Learning. The administration, hold on, my phone went, okay, there we go. The administration presented an overview of data by district and by zones and included the following areas: attendance, projected graduation rates, overage and undercredited students, gatekeeper exams like the Regents exams, Ames Web data, action plans, suspensions and incidents, and specialized services. Just 2 quick notes. Kudos to Beverly and the superintendent for putting this information before us for quite some time. Since I've been chair of ESA, we've been asking for regular reports about where we're at on these important areas. And this is the first time that through several administrations that we've received consistent reports, and they're so very helpful to sort of visualize where we're at. So, and I think Dr. Vargas has said repeatedly that this would not be possible had the board not invested in these data management systems and had we not had prior superintendents that saw the value in them. So a lot of kudos to everybody, but Beverly and to Dr. Vargas, especially to you, these reports, anybody who's seen them, we've seen them in leadership and we've seen them at ESA. They are what this district has been waiting for quite some time. Finally, you all, we have resolution 680 and 6 through 684. We reviewed them as a committee. These are all grant-related resolutions. The committee recommends approval of resolution 680 through 684. Our next Excellence in Student Achievement Committee meeting will be on Monday, June the 10th at 6 p.m. That concludes my report. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Commissioner Elliott and the CIGR committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Point of personal privilege, Mr. President.
Yes.
I want to, one of the concerns I have around this district is our student suspension policy. And Commissioner Cruz, I'd like to have a conversation or come before the committee to talk about this. In one of the parts of the policy, that we could suspend our students for 45 days. That is 2 months and 5 days that they're not in the classroom. We really cannot afford to have our children out of the classroom that long. You know, I don't have to go into where we are academically right now. So, Commissioner Cruz, I'd like to be able to have some discussions around that. That's just too long for our students to be out of school. So I'll follow up with you on that one. Also, I just wanted to, some of the things that I was doing throughout the month, me and my niece actually attended School 58's exhibition night on expeditionary learning. I went and visited School Without Walls on a particular matter, School 2, and also went and visited the Young Men Leadership Academy. I'm going to be attending the funeral tomorrow of Kiara Jones. I'll be at that funeral tomorrow. And we also met with the compliance, I met with the compliance officer of the Rochester Joint School Board, Schools Construction Board, just to, find out how, with regard to minority participation, how that is going, and to discuss it more in detail than what we were able to do at the Community Intergovernmental Relations Committee. So I wanted to just put those on the table so that the media knows that we're just not, I'm just not sitting on my very voluptuous backside. But the community, I love it. The Community and Intergovernmental Relations Committee met on Tuesday, May 14th. We had a presentation from the board, from our special assistant to the board, Sinead Lee, around the 3-on-3 task force between the school board and city council, particularly since I had not been making those meetings. I wanted to have Ms. Lee to present to the committee the kind of work that the board and city council have been doing. And some of the areas that we have addressed includes truancy, capital improvement program, the facilities master plan, library services, maintenance of effort legislation, Rochester City School District and Pathways to Peace Partnership, shared services, and transportation. The administration, and thank Patty Maljury, it was Patty, it was you, who gave a update for us on the transportation legislation. If you recall, this legislation is in regard to the state reimbursing us for between 5 miles and 1.5 miles. The current legislation is that they would only reimburse if students are picked up more than 1.5 miles, and we would like the state to be able to do it for us because of safety reasons at 0.5 miles or half a mile, if you will. The legislation is working through the Assembly and the Senate, and is expected a decision to be on there to pass by June 30th. The committee continued its discussion around the 2013 legislative agenda. We will be discussing that again next month, and after next month, we will bring it for recommendation to the full board. We're also talking about having a community forum for parents and students in the community around, I gotta sneeze, excuse me, around the Common Core initiative, around the Common Core, and to really inform our parents in our community of what's expected when we talk about Common Core. So we're looking at doing those community events sometime late summer. The next CIGR committee will meet on June 11th at 6 p.m. And Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Elliott, and particularly thank you for highlighting the three-on-three meetings that we have with the city. We're so committed to it that we even met on a Friday 2 weeks ago. Commissioner Powell and the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can I start with a question to Commissioner Elliott? Do you have bill numbers for the transportation bill?
Not before me.
Can we get that?
Yes.
From both the Assembly and the Senate bill number? Thank you. Appreciate that. On points of personal privilege, I ought to tell you, I love these new microphones because I've had my personal earphones plugged in so that I can hear better, and it really paid off with some of the speakers because if they were too far away from the microphone, I could crank up the volume and heard every word of it. And so if y'all think I'm listening to music or getting a translation into another language, no, it's just, it's facilitating my being able to hear what's happening elsewhere in the room. And I hope we can get similar setups for our committee meetings. Otherwise, I'll have to ask the screen to be pulled away so we can use the dais for our committee meetings to avoid the white noise from the blowers. So my report, the finance report, we met on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, and considered resolution 655 through, that's not right, the number, 655 through 668. Commissioner White referenced a handout. It did come from our chief financial officer, and it was a printout of all of the charter school applications received this year. There were a total of 8 of them, and some of the assumptions made in superintendent's report essentially split the difference, assuming that not all 8 of those schools will be approved by the Board of Regents or SUNY, but certainly that some of them will be approved. The predictions on enrollment are also predicated on growing out of schools that have already been approved and have been in existence for the last couple of years, but aren't fully grown out to their terminal grade. That's how our meeting started. Then we turned to our usual business, which was review of the April financial reports. And at this time, I would move that the board receive those reports.
There's a motion on the floor to receive monthly financial reports which members received in their packets. May I have a second? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you, Commissioner Powell.
Following that, we discussed the quarterly student activity funds report. At this time, I would move that the board receive that report.
Been properly moved. Is there a second to the student activity funds report?
Second.
Second. Been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 The ayes have it. Thank you, Commissioner Powell.
Okay. We discussed a single procurement resolution, 655. It is a third, it's the third extension of this particular contract award, and we'll go to RFP for next year. It's the third and final extension. resolutions 656 through 667 were all facilities related and were forwarded to the full board with our recommendation. The next item on our agenda was a discussion about the School 44 facilities closure. That's Resolution 668 in your packet. The committee did not recommend this for approval. Instead, the committee voted unanimously to amend require that the closing of schools policy be strictly applied in this case of School 44 closure, to give the zone improvement teams opportunity to weigh in, to give the School 44 community, school-based planning team, and our Parent Advisory Council, all bodies that have been sanctioned by the board and by the state of New York to weigh in on important educational issues. So we're asking that essentially that this resolution be tabled and that we continue to do more outreach. Not that there hasn't been community engagement all along. We do acknowledge that there's been an unprecedented degree of community engagement. However, the bodies that the state of New York and this board, through its own policies, have essentially authorized to speak for the community, that namely the Parent Advisory Council, the school-based planning teams, have not specifically been engaged on their turf. After considering the resolutions that the administration brought to us, we turned our attention to resolutions that Commissioner Adams had brought to our attention last month. The resolution on the charter school compact we tabled once again in committee. We will continue to discuss that probably in our next meeting. But we did take action on the resolution to remove Rochester City School District from the list of affiliations of the Center for Reinventing Public Education. You will see that that is Resolution 695 on the amended agenda. There's no information as to how RCSD came to appear on this list of affiliations, but the center actively promotes privatization of education, and the committee has unanimously approved the resolution to advance to this full board for consideration. Including a guest to our, both these last two items included input from our guest, Mary Adams. So there were essentially 4 board members weighing in on these last 2 items. Our next Finance Committee meeting will be held Thursday, June 13th at 5:30 p.m., and I apologize for the length of this report.
That's fine. Just one quick, I just want to make one quick point. I know we'll talk about this when we get to the table resolution. This whole School 44 thing, I just want to remind people that the board instructed the administration to look at School 44 as an option and then come back to the board. I think that's a very important distinction to make, so people won't think that the administration just came up with this idea to look at 44 as an option for closure. Board members instructed the administration to look at that as an option, and they brought that back. So if folks want to table it again when we get to the resolution to talk about it, that's the board's business. But I think it's important for people to know and for us to remember that we asked them to look at that as an option. And I don't know if that came up as part of the discussion because this is work that we created. We created this work. We could have voted on the actual facilities modernization plan that we had intact, and we wouldn't have come back. So this is stuff that we as a board created.
Yeah, we did have quite lengthy discussion, and it's fully acknowledged that this is a change from what the administration originally had advanced. We discussed at length the fact that the resolution that's already been voted on included a commitment to close 5 schools, 4 of which have been already named. So we are committed to closing a 5th school. And there's no wavering from that. It's been suggested that the board or any particular board doesn't have the stomach for a closure. I don't believe that's the case here. We are simply looking at our board policy and saying, you know, have we done what we're supposed to do in light of this fairly new policy? And more than the letter of the law, the spirit of the law, have we acknowledged these fully constituted bodies that have already received their charter, either from the board through its parent engagement policy or by the state of New York through the school-based planning teams. And we talked about the importance of acknowledging their legitimacy. It's not just about honoring a policy that's fairly new, but about honoring the legitimacy of institutions like school-based planning teams that have been around for a couple of decades now. So,
all right. I mean, I don't mean to get into a big discussion here, but I just wanted to ask that, and we can talk about it further when we get there in the resolution. I just have a brief report. I just want to remind board members of the June 12th, 5:30 City Council public budget hearing, where board attendance is recommended, where we will be allowing public speaking on the board budget in conjunction with our board member colleagues, our city council member colleagues in government. That meeting will take place June 12th at 5:30. And then on June 18th at 6:30 p.m., at 7:30.
What time again?
It's 5:30.
For the June 18th? For
the June 12th. For the June 18th, it's 6:30. And that's the Speak to Council meeting in Chambers. And then 7:30 is the council meeting in which they will be voting on the district's 2013-2014 budget. I want to thank Jerome Underwood, Willie Robinson, the parent council, and the entire school district administration for the work that they did in putting on the parent picnic information fair at Charlotte Beach last week. If you didn't hear about it on the news, you probably didn't hear about it because no one got shot, stabbed. There weren't any fights. It wasn't anything violent. It was very positive and successful. I don't know the exact number of people that attended, but I'm sure it was I know at least 2,000 people had signed up to attend, but it was a very good informational and family-oriented event, and I want to applaud Mr. Superintendent, you as well as your staff for a great event.
I'm just curious how many people did show up.
Do we know the final number of how many we had? 2168. So we had that signed up. That's not counting people that didn't sign the sign-in sheet and came anyway for a hot dog. So, 2,168 people. I know I had a great time. It was one of these events where I got there right at 11 o'clock and said I was only going to stay for a half an hour, and ended up leaving at around 2 o'clock. So I want to thank folks for that event, and I hope it's something that we can continue to do every year, and it's particularly noteworthy that it went off with no incidences.
Can I just speak to that?
Yes, Commissioner Elliott.
I just want to say, you know, we tend to, there's some pockets in this district that will criticize parents for not being involved in their children's lives. And these are the kinds of events, Mr. President and Mr. Superintendent, that we see that our parents attend and attend very well. When I've gone over over at number 22 school, for example, for their orientation night, the place is filled. What happens, unfortunately, is we have these PTA meetings scheduled at 3:30 in the afternoon, and parents are working. So then we want to say that there's no parent involvement. There is parent involvement. We just have to figure out the way in which we can get them to our schools. Having a PTA meeting at 3:30 in the afternoon is not going to cut it because they have to work. If they have to make a decision on putting food on their table versus coming to the meeting, guess what they're going to do? So we have to find different ways in which to engage our parents when we want to be able to talk to them about what's going on in the classroom. That event and other events similar to it are great examples of parent participation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, and thank you again for the work. There are excellent number of participants, over 2,100. I want to thank the administration. For a while, you know, we've been working on this facilities modernization project for a while, and as you know, there's a reservoir of workers that have been trained through the ROAR program that participated in modernizing our buildings. And I want to thank the administration and superintendent, and particularly Chief of Staff Mel Jerry. And I'm happy to report. And I said, hey, can I say this because I want to talk about the importance of it. We've been able to place 10 seasonal workers from the ROAR program in the district this summer to work on district buildings. So this is a great program, the ROAR program, and the key is the follow-up and the fact that we're going to have some seasonal workers to be able to work on our district facilities is a great thing that we need to talk about. And I just want to thank everyone involved for ensuring that we're following through on our commitment, our compact with the community to make sure that we're providing good jobs for people in schools that many of their children have attended, schools that they have attended, and schools that their grandchildren have attended. And lastly, we constantly talk about what we don't have. I wanted to talk about what we do have, and I wanted to report because this has been highlighted briefly. The superintendent mentioned it, but I asked for a list of the number of new sports programs that we're going to have this year, and we are going to have, and I believe this number is correct, 43 new sports offerings this year. We're going to have golf, lacrosse, tennis. Some places where they didn't have access to these sports, we're going to be having those sports coming in the fall and spring as a result of this budget that we passed through 3 weeks ago. So I'm very happy that we are doing that. And then lastly, we will have a meeting scheduled. We have a meeting on the calendar scheduled for next Thursday, May 30th, 2013. And what time is that meeting, Madam Clerk? 5:30. 5:30. And it should be a brief meeting, should not be long. And I look forward to seeing you all there. Before we go on board resolutions, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and deal with resolutions.
Who puts resolutions?
They all crazy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know, exactly. Rims, she got her rims and everything. All right, I have a 6 a.m. flight tomorrow, so let's get started. We do have a brief executive session afterwards. We will now move on to the consideration of resolutions. Our first set of resolutions are...
Point of information.
Yes, point of information.
Let me just say, the way in which this packet is put together, I'm really disturbed about it because it's all out of order. And I've just talked with the special assistant to the board, but I think this also has to do with that resolutions that come to us are coming to us late. Please try to get these resolutions in on time, because just trying to read this and put it together really is, this is probably the worst packet that I've ever seen in the almost 8 years that I've been here. So try to get these resolutions in on time so that I guess they need to be in I like them to be all in one order. So if we got all the authorizations to pay, they need to be all together. The HR resolutions, they need to be all together. Please get these in on time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Elliott. Human Capital Initiative 629 through 651. These are resolutions related to specific individuals. Anyone wishing to ask questions around 629 through 651, questions or comments, the comments need to be germane to the topic and not about any specific individual. If anyone requires comments to be about a specific individual, we need to take them in executive session, and we do have a quick executive session for 3020A at the conclusion of the meeting. So if anyone has anything that is specifically related to a specific individual, it would need to take place in the context of that executive session.
Just another point of order. The resolution numbers range that you described includes the additional pay as well?
Some of them are.
And then we got another packet.
And then and then under other, I think that also includes the additional pay because those came in after the resolution packets were numbered. So the reason why you see resolutions under the other category with additional pay is because those came in after the regular resolution, the first resolution packet was printed, and if they were to add them under the HR resolutions, that would require an entire renumbering of the packet. So
right.
That's why that was done that way.
All right, thank you.
No problem. I'll entertain a motion for 629 through 651, which is Human Capital Initiatives. It's been moved, it's been seconded, moved by Commissioner Cruz, seconded by Commissioner Powell. Questions around 629 through 651?
Mr. President?
Yes, Commissioner Elliott.
Resolution 650, do the people who we are hiring for these positions, do they come with an urban experience? Do they come with an urban background? Remember, we have a policy that we're hiring that they have to have at least 2 years of urban experience. So that's my question. With these two people, do they have urban experience?
And being that they are related to specific individuals, it would just be a yes or no answer. Dr. Centrone.
Yes, they do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Centrone. Anything else on 629 through 651? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of 629 through 651, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Any noes? All right, we have that. 652 through 656 are additional pay resolutions, and I believe many of these are for extended learning. I entertain a motion for 652 through 656.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded, moved by Commissioner Powell, seconded by Commissioner White. Anything on 652 through 656? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Thank
No.
you. And one no. Resolution passes. Yes, she said no to all.
Because I'm confused.
Resolution passes 5-1 with one absence. Resolution number 657 is procurement and supply that went through the Finance Committee. I'll entertain a motion for Resolution 657. It's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Moved by Commissioner Powell, seconded by Commissioner Elliott. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. 658 through 668 are educational facilities resolutions, which also moved through the Finance Committee. I'll entertain a motion for.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? It's moved and properly seconded. Comments, questions around 658 through 668?
Could I make a request to separate 660? Sorry.
667?
Correct.
667?
Is it 667 or 668?
See, everybody's confused.
Sorry, no, 668, I'm sorry.
668, okay. 668 we'll vote on separately. Right now, we are dealing with resolution 658 through 667. Anything, I have a move in a second on 655 through 667.
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes, Commissioner Elliott.
Would somebody just summarize what we're asked to do on 667?
667,
Yeah, I can address that.
Commissioner Powell?
No, because I don't understand Commissioner Powell.
Okay.
So give me somebody who
Dr.
talks clearly.
I'll
that
ask
I can understand.
Dr. Ansborough. Dr. Ansborough.
Yes, this is
Honorary.
this is simply us going to the to the bond market to fund the next phase or the current phase of the facility improvements that the board has authorized. So we've authorized. We have projects that are going underway. So now we're going to the capital market and actually accessing the capital market to borrow that money that's needed for those facilities. And so that's done in conjunction with the city and through Comita, and there's a specific structure that's set up through the state legislation that you have to follow, and that's what this is for.
And this is the local share?
No, this is the gross borrowing. This is the gross borrowing that's done, $125 million. The local share will be determined by those judgments that are made within the specific projects. So those are done by the local share is determined by the judgments within the construction project. This is executing those projects that the board has already empowered. This is the phase one, not phase two.
Oh, this is phase one?
Phase one.
Okay.
Yes.
So, all right.
Thank you.
No.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I was thinking it was phase two, because I was
No,
going to ask.
I'm sorry, I wasn't even thinking about that. No, this is phase one.
We don't have legislation for phase two.
We don't have legislation for phase two.
So why are we borrowing, explain again, why are we borrowing the $125 million for bonding? Because I missed that, because I was thinking that we were borrowing for phase two.
Technically, the city school district is not, right? We're working through the Comita program, right? And the funds will be intercepted through the state of New York. So that's the way the whole FMP legislation was set up, that this would be executed in that fashion.
So 125 versus, why are we asking for 325 million?
This is just a portion. This is one portion. A portion of this borrowing was approved by the board previously, right?
Okay.
Right?
All right.
This is the next tranche. They deliberately break it up in sections because you only want to go to the market when you need the money. Otherwise, you're paying a lot of capitalization costs.
Yeah.
So we're deliberately saying, what money do you need when? And you time that going to market when you need the money to actually get the work done.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
I have a
Commissioner Adams.
Sorry, I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
Do you anticipate that we will have to seek bond anticipation notes bans in this context? That happened last year with the first round, and I'm just wondering if that's expected, and if it is expected, do we have a firm grasp on what level we would be seeking those for?
We do not anticipate to need revenue anticipation notes in 13-14.
Because we're already sort of rolling, is that?
Correct.
Okay. And then one other question, is this sublease agreement with Comita, is that a conventional mechanism, or can you briefly summarize the rationale for that?
It's a construct of the legislation that the state approved. So this is the vehicle to finance these projects that the state legislation approved. And one of the primary reasons for it is because there's a limit on how much the city can borrow. And the construct is all this borrowing is outside the constitutional borrowing limit.
So in your
that's
judgment,
why-
it's sort of, in your judgment, is it unconventional but sound and reasonable?
Yes, I mean, this is the mechanism that they've used across the state for these large-scale improvement
thank you.
projects.
Thank you.
And President Evans, are you comfortable with the entire
I am.
resolution
I
as
am.
the authorized?
I am, and I want to thank the City of Rochester for voting on this at their meeting on Tuesday. And I'm hoping for legislation on Phase 2 very soon. Anything else around resolutions 658 through 655 through 667?
Call the question.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, resolution number 668, which we've already moved and seconded. Well, actually, we didn't move and second, we separated it. I'll entertain a motion for resolution number 668.
So moved.
Moved, is there a second? Second? Is there a second on 668?
Second.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. Okay, discussion on 668.
Motion to table.
There's a motion to table. A table goes straight to a vote. It's been moved and seconded. There's no discussion. We'll do a roll call vote on 668. All those in favor of tabling, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, the ayes have it. We'll table that and take that back up. We'll now move to 660 through
669.
660 through 695. A motion to approve it's funny, if you look at the,
The revised is 669.
That's why you gotta do it, you gotta combine the right ones
but if you
together.
look at the agenda, it says 660, but it's actually 669 through 695. It was a typo on the agenda. I know I'm sharp as a tack, so I know
Yes, you are, Mr. President.
thank you. 669 through 695, I entertain a motion for 669 through 695.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, moved by Commissioner Cruz, seconded by Commissioner Elliott. Questions or discussions around
President?
669 through 695? Yes, Commissioner
I
Elliott.
really have a problem that the district, that we would approve funding for the Rochester Education Foundation. This organization started out that I believe was to support the district in terms of fundraising and other kinds of support. And now here we are giving them money. What is the purpose that we have this organization? So I'm really concerned about that. And then I'm also concerned another matter that I'll talk later, but I'm really concerned that I think we had given them $10,000 previously, and now we're giving them $30,000. From what I understood, this is not what this organization was for. And in my mind, it calls into question the integrity of this organization.
Let me just
Commissioner,
respond.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
This is a hot potato for me. I don't think we should do it.
Dr. Vargas?
The reason first of all, we are not giving money. Second, the district and the organization need to be rewarded for its effort, according to at least the Cuomo administration, who had launched an effort for district to become efficient, which have been evidenced by the budget that you just passed, where we have been able to deal with our challenge. The purpose of this is there are districts that have their own foundation, and this district could create one. It's very costly, it's very long range, and it's very messy. I think that what we are trying to do, which again is not funding through local funding, is a special grant that we put for a special effort, and that is for increase the capacity of the foundation, as you correctly stated, to raise funding for the organization. Now, they do have a track record that is very clear I mentioned to President Evans, who have raised a question. For example, for the Jazz Festival, they were able to collect an enormous amount of instrument and musical instrument, and also books. They have been able to assist us with RAC-RE, and what I'm asking of them, you're entitled to make the decision just because we got this through a grant. You clearly is within your authority to reject that, is to increase the capacity of the district to raise more funding as pertain to special needs so that we cannot afford. Like, for example, there are many times that we go to foundation, like the Wegman Foundation had given us, actually Wegman's Food Market Services had given us an enormous amount of support around RAC-RE and other activities that we have launched. As you know, we want to rebuild our marching band, and that came from the board. My hope is that one day, Commissioner Elliott, that when you're in East Avenue or in Joseph Avenue and you're watching a festival, that you see the district marching band. It was painful for this year, for example, to watch band from other districts that are much smaller than us. And for a district with 32,000 children that don't have a marching band, and that's one of the areas that I know Commissioner Evans and others have discussed with me to build. So again, it's not a gift, it's very targeted, and it's, as I alluded to you, to meet specific need. There's nothing that I'd be more proud, or I'll say that we are represented in event. It's good for our students, and it's good for everyone, but I think it would be rather unfair and inaccurate to characterize this as a gift.
Well, be that as it may, we disagree on this one, Mr. Superintendent, because the fact of the matter is this organization was supposed to bring resources to the district, but now it looks like we are giving them money, and it just, in my mind, it's also, it appears somewhat unethical, and it appears that they have gone against their word. So I have a serious problem with it, and my vote is no on that. It just looks bad. I mean, we have to give them money in order to raise money for us? No.
Commissioner,
I can't deal with that.
Commissioner Adams?
Just a follow-up question regarding possible duplication of services. I mean, we're being encouraged and arguments are being made that we need to have much less outsourcing, so to speak, and to use much more of our own staff and resources for all kinds of programs, including ones that we've seen a lot of evidence and hope that they may be effective in classrooms in the schools. And so my concern is, you know, this seems like it's a duplication of the functions of well-financed positions and highly qualified individuals within the district, and yet we're seeing a request to outsource. Is there something unique and unduplicated about this potential service? And could we hear a description of that? And then also, is there a return, I don't know what the proper language is, but return on investment?
Dr. Ansborough, I gave you an honorary doctorate from the School of Hard Knocks.
One last thing, if the argument can be made, you know, and this is hard and this is a hard discussion, but if the argument can be made that this offers some superior service by outsourcing, then we really need to look hard at our internal positions and staffing in departments and see if we can rationalize having both for this kind of non-direct in-school activity.
But just two clarification questions related to hers. First off, is it right to characterize this as outsourcing? And number two, just comment on the difficult in terms of legality of a district having its own separate foundation.
Yeah, no, it's actually becoming more common. The benefit is, you know, certain entities will contribute, you know, only to a 501c3. So it creates another avenue for you know, efforts to draw resources in that they just wouldn't consider donating directly to the city school district. Many other organizations have a similar construct. The Rochester Public Library has a very successful Friends of the Library, you know, that foundation, So they have a very similar construct, and it's because of basically the tax codes that allow people to raise money under a certain way that they're able to take a tax benefit that otherwise they would not be able to take a benefit for and may not make the donation.
Mr. President?
Commissioner White.
Yes, there's a phrase, sometimes you have to spend money to make money. And I think given what the superintendent has articulated in terms of what the vision is and how this group can support that vision, what could be better than to have our children have a marching band and all those things. And by the way, I am, like Commissioner Elliott, familiar with their track record. And their track record is for making our district better, selflessly making our district better. And Lord knows we need as much help as we can get. And if we can help people help us, I just think that's the right thing to do. And I realize money is tight and probably could figure out another way to spend this money. But I mean, just as Dr. Vargas says, to see our kids marching down during the St. Patrick's Day parade or the Labor Day parade in a marching band with full regalia and all the proper instruments, that's what hope is built on: pride, success. This is about us allowing somebody to help us. And this is about investing in an organization that has already invested in us so that we can become better at what we do. I think this is a win-win situation.
Well, here, Mr. President.
Yes, Commissioner Elliott and then Commissioner.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding what a foundation is. I'm thinking that a foundation, and I was thinking that this foundation was going to help us to raise millions of dollars. We have a budget deficit every year, and I was under the impression that what foundations do is raise millions of dollars in order to be able to help to fund your programs. That's what I was under the impression. Not this stuff about school bands and what have you. In my mind, that is not a purpose of a foundation. We can get somebody else to do that kind of stuff for somebody in the community. But when it comes down to foundations, because we're going from year to year in millions of dollars of deficits, I was under the impression that the reason that this foundation was created was to help us in that regard. So maybe I made a mistake of what I thought the intent of the foundation was for, not to raise instruments, but millions of dollars. That's what I thought it was supposed to do. Now, maybe I was wrong.
Commissioner Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think instead of just trying to speculate what the foundations are doing, can we get an update report on the monies raised over the years? Because I know that there's a lot of great activities that the foundation is doing in terms of supporting our students. So it'd be good to get an update on those kinds of activities over the years and what monies were raised. Because I too believe that, there is a return on investment in this kind of a situation. So if we can get a report from them, that would be really helpful.
We can give you an update on what the contribution has been.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Commissioner Powell.
If I could just add, as long as we're gathering additional information, can we learn whether the funds received from the Rochester Education Foundation were ever or could ever have been anticipated in the development of our budget? Whether they came with awards, or grant awards or funding awards that could have been built into our budget. My point is that yes, we have budget deficits every year, but just as we can't book a revenue from a governmental grant until we've received an award letter, we can't build any gifts from an education foundation into our budget without knowing that it has been in advance that it's about to be awarded. And if their fundraising efforts are ongoing, then it stands to reason that their awards are going to be ongoing, but will be external to our budget. It's not something that we could ever hope to incorporate into our budget. We're not, when I build my household budget, I don't build in a category of gifts from others even if I do know I'm going to get gifts at Christmas time. It's not something I do when I build my household budget. So, except for the expenditure of gifts given. So if we could get a sense of how that funding was received, whether it was external to our budget, I am going to assume, in the absence of other data, but knowing how budgets work, that it has been external to our budget process.
Okay, yeah, you can look on that and get back to us.
We will. I just wanted to make sure again that this is no money that the district is spending. This is the money that the state will leave in our needs. And back to the budget gap, we want to do things for our children. So we realize that this is not the kind of thing that the state fund or typical the government fund, that this is something that we can go outside our normal funding sources to do something that that we desperately need for our students.
Thank you. Anything else on 669 through 695? 669 through 695.
678 regarding the pre-kindergarten organization. I just want to appreciate, President Evans, your request for a prompt report on the RFP process. I don't want to, it won't change my vote on this. I will support this because I realize that this is an effort to somewhat fix the flawed process, at least in an immediate sense for two particular agencies. But I do want to emphasize that I'm looking for a really meaningful, thorough addressing of the problems that have been brought to us and that remedies can be made this year. So thank you for addressing that, and I just want to raise that in this context.
Right, and as my colleagues know, I did send a note out, and the superintendent has told me that he will give us a thorough update, as well as, more importantly than the update, on possibly things we can do to fix this. As everyone knows, I think it's universal on this board that everyone here are big supporters of the pre-K program, and particularly our CBOs, and we want to make sure that they feel as though that we are being good partners with them going forward. So I look forward to that follow-up conversation. It's a very important topic. Anything else on 669 through 695? Commissioner
Yes,
Elliott.
And just another point of personal privilege. Baden Street is having its pre-kindergarten graduation next month, and I'll get you all the dates around that. That's usually well attended as also. But I want to just thank the superintendent on Resolution 693 with regard to the cafeteria aides. This is a group that is not protected by any a bargaining unit class, and you know, these are those food service helpers that are in the cafeteria. They're also working with our kids in there, and they're making sure the place is clean. And so I just want to thank the superintendent for recommending this increase to the board for our, and it's about 20 of those throughout the district. And it's probably a cost of under about $5,000 total. So I just want to thank the superintendent and Mr. Ansbro for this.
Thank you.
A couple more things.
Commissioner Adams.
685, the authorization with our educational expert, Daniel Lowengrout. I wanted to understand why the amount for his services, what the additional services cost, and what they are that would cause it to go from 30,000 to 80,000.
You're having too much fun there.
I know. You'll break my scooter. The state requires us to do the school reviews on the priority schools and the focus schools. We had originally planned to only do specific reviews. We have to do all of them, and so these are for the school reviews, state mandated, and this is funded. State gives us the money to do this very specific thing.
And when is his public forum going to be scheduled for?
We can schedule it, I think, probably the end of June, the beginning of July, when they're all wrapped up and we have the reports in hand.
Okay.
I've been reading the reports before they're public, and we're waiting on 2 from state ed that are still kind of sitting there. But as soon as they're all done, we're happy to have that public forum.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, anything else on 669 through 695?
I just wanted to say for the record that the person that you alluded to is listed, and we had to select the person that is approved by the state education department, so that we don't have the freedom to do it ourselves. We'll select from a list that the individual is not approved.
Anything else on 669 through 695? 669 through 695.
Call the question.
Okay, all those in favor of 669 through 695, please indicate so by saying aye.
I have a couple abstentions and a couple noes.
Okay, ayes. The ayes have it on 669 through 695.
I have
let me just record the noes and abstentions.
no on 689.
No on 689, Commissioner Elliott. I abstain on 692. Commissioner Adams, your noes.
I abstain on 672 and 677, no on 673, and no on 689 because I don't have enough information to be able to make an informed vote on 689.
Still have to vote no.
That's the
yes.
Rochester Education
So you vote
Foundation.
no,
I
you
think
vote
we
no
need to
on
have a better
689?
sense of-
You vote no on 689?
Yes.
Okay, all right. You capture those, Madam Clerk?
Mr. President?
Yes, Commissioner White?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Point of order. On Resolution 656, which we already voted on, unfortunately, I don't have the related party spreadsheet here with me.
I had you down as abstaining, right?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep, I got your abstention in advance, so you're good. Thank you.
And another point of...
Yes, 1 second. Just so we are done with 669 through 695. We are done with those resolutions. Commissioner Elliott, you have a point of personal privilege?
Yeah, well, did we vote on 545?
Yes, we did.
Okay, I wanted to vote no on that.
We have not considered 545 yet.
Had not considered
No, wait.
545. All right, so, but 640, I do want to, I think you all may have a yes vote for me, but 640, I wanted to vote no.
Okay, 640.
Can we change that in light of all this confusion?
It can be captured, yes, it's captured as no. All right. 640 no for Commissioner Elliott. All right. We have one resolution left that was tabled from the previous meeting. I need a motion to pull from the table resolution number 545.
Did we do? Oh, okay.
So moved.
Pull from the table resolution 545. May I have a motion to approve resolution 545?
So moved.
The back of the packet, back of the packet, last one,
The last, here.
last page. 545 moved and seconded. Has it been moved? It's been moved and seconded. Moved by Commissioner Cruz, seconded by Commissioner White. Discussion on 545. Commissioner Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Without going into a whole lot of our discussion about this particular resolution, I think we've had an opportunity to discuss this, but in really thinking about it, it's enough that sometimes we have to say no to our partners in the next coming year's budget, and those sometimes are a little bit more easily understood. My problem with this particular situation here is that we're cutting a budget during a program year, and I think that creates a number of difficulties, especially with a program that has proven to be somewhat successful and a pretty unique alternative to some of the kinds of issues that our children face, and doing it with all the kinds of partners that are involved in this particular resolution, from Police Department to the City of Rochester's Pathways of Peace, Monroe County Courts, District Attorney's Office, the Bar Association. So there are just a ton of different partners that are involved in this, and it just doesn't seem to me fair and right that we would cut this particular program at mid-year and in current year. We can always talk about next year, but for this particular year, to cut them down from what originally was $50,000, I believe.
Yep.
Right? To now saying, you know, we're only going to be providing them $7,500 support, which doesn't really go very far. And I understand the city of Rochester has cut theirs back, but I don't want to use them as a kind of, you know, guidance in this particular area, because I think they really do serve our children and potentially serve a lot of kinds of services. So I would like to submit an amendment to this particular resolution that would provide them their full budget amounts for this particular current budget year at the amount that it was last year of $50,000.
There's a motion to amend the resolution from $7,500 to $50,000. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion on the motion on the floor to change it from $7,500 to $50,000. Any other discussion?
Mr. President?
Yes, Commissioner White.
Yeah, I don't think I could say anything more than Commissioner Cruz has said on this particular point, but I would add that there's a lot of history to this particular initiative, and regrettably, after all these years, I think it's subject to the same kind of vulnerabilities that any program that engages in prevention. You know, unfortunately, they're the first to be cut, and in that regard, let me just reiterate what I had suggested when this subject first came up. I think it's important to develop a matrix, if you will, that describes when cuts have to be made because money isn't in abundant supply, that some things are going to have to be cut, even stuff that some folks may think may work. I think in advance of making those cuts, I think that if they haven't already, and I know this administration is on top of these issues, but if they haven't already, I think a neutral and detached sort of matrix ought to be devised so that when these kinds of tough decisions have to be made, you can go to the matrix and say, okay, this is why we made the decision, so there can be no legitimate second guessing of these sometimes tough decisions. But again, going back to this particular concept, I happened to be there when this thing got started, and Judge Geraci, Judge Schwartz, the chief of police, and I, and Jeff Carlson, some of you may remember Jeff Carlson, went down to Galveston, Texas, and looked at what they were doing there and what other states and municipalities were doing. And if anybody spent any time with this particular initiative, you see what value prevention can have to our kids. And it's unfortunate that we seem to be the only ones that continue to see the full value in this. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't continue to lead the way for our kids, because these are our kids that are in that court system. So thank you for those of you in advance, for those who are going to continue to support this concept. And I think you're right. I think next year, I think Commissioner Cruz said, next year is another time to revisit this, and maybe some tough decisions will have to be made then. But I think now we ought to keep our commitment that we made. Thanks.
Thank you. Anything else on the amendment? Commissioner Powell.
Thank you. First, I want to thank Commissioner Cruz for advancing that amendment. Given that we're already several months after an announcement that the budget was going to be amended, I suspect that they may not be able to adequately spend the whole budget amount anyway. I think one of the things this points to is kind of a deficiency in the way we do our budget amendments. The fact is, we were asked to support a cut in this area through our budget amendment process, and it didn't get noted. It kind of escaped all of our attention, so we didn't have that discussion months ago when it truly first came up. I think I appreciate the need to tighten our belts, including cutting back in areas that were already budgeted for. I can sympathize with the motivation, but in the course of the year there are going to be many line items that don't get fully spent, that we're going to be able to sweep into the reserve at the end of the year. And this is, quite frankly, chump change. In the grand scheme of things, we're going to be able to operate They're not going to be able to fully spend everything that this amendment calls for because of the interruption in services that the amendment represented. But I think that it's a good faith effort on our part to work with our partners and to be more transparent with our partners. And it's really a warning to us that we need to pay more careful attention to what comes to us in our budget amendment process. Sometimes those decisions are essentially made without our input, and we're then asked in a retroactive fashion to support it. And that's always the case with certain kinds of personnel decisions, but it shouldn't be, when they're related to grant funding, but it should not have applied, I don't believe, in this case. So I fully support that amendment.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. All those in favor of Resolution 5, the amended Resolution 545 that changes the amount from $7,500 to $50,000, indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The noes have the same privilege? Noes?
No.
One no. Passes 5-1, with one absence. That concludes resolutions for the evening.
Did we only vote on the amendment just now, right?
Yes, we voted on the amendment.
So we
yes.
still need to vote on the motion.
All right, we voted on the original resolution.
I'm sorry?
What are you asking?
We just voted on the amendment. Now we have to vote on the original.
Amendment. That's right. I'm sorry. All those in favor of the overall resolution 545, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
No. One no. Again, passes 5-1 with one absence. We'll now move to unfinished business from previous meetings. We have none. Under new business, we have policy submitted as information items. These are all information items for your review. Revision of safe school policy, revision of code of conduct, revision of child abuse, policy for students with disabilities to earn a high school diploma, revision of student individual employment plan, revision of appointment and training of members of special committee on education, revision of constitutionally protected prayer in school, revision of public use of schools facility policy, district policy against harassment of students, gifts of schools to personnel policy, interpreters for hearing impaired policy, and the electioneering in school policy. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I do have a new business item. We've talked about the restoration of the Personnel Committee, so I'd like to make a motion that we restore the Personnel Committee.
There's a motion on the floor to, you want to discuss under new business?
Well, however we need to do it in order to get it on the table, because we've been dealing with this, and I've been asking about this for a very long time, and it's been delayed, and so now it's time. You all either going to vote for it, vote it to restore it, or vote it down, so that it's off the table. But I think that we need to have a personnel committee to provide oversight and to get questions answered and to just determine the whole process around human resource initiatives. We need to understand that, and that's 70% of our budget. And we've just sort of let that go to the wayside. In my mind, we've just sort of relinquished our responsibility around human resource issues. And I think that we have to put that committee back together. And so 70% of our budget says that we should do that. So the board is either going to approve it, to restore it, or is it not? And so that's why I'm bringing it to this table now.
Commissioner Cruz.
I think it would be, I think the proper way to do it, Commissioner Elliott, is to have a written resolution with the justification in terms of how you want it set up, what
We
kinds
did have
of...
that before, if I'm not mistaken, and it didn't. But the other part is that it's just a matter of restoring what the board already has in place.
Well, then I think a written resolution to that effect would be a more appropriate way of handling that. I, for one, will tell you now that I will not support a resolution like that, but that's just me. But the proper way to handle it is to have something in writing so we can take a look at it, because the implications of a personnel committee at a district is something you really have to think through, because once you get into diving into all of the things in terms of personnel issues and what's hired and who's not hired and all that kind of stuff, it could create a number of difficulties if it's not structured in a way where, you avoid those kinds of situations.
Well, I'll bring it in that fashion next month.
Yeah.
But we have been talking about this now for 2 or 3 years, if not more, and we have not brought it to the table. So I wanted to sort of force it, so the board either says yes or no to it.
And I can appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
All
And
right,
then one thing I
thank
will say to you, Commissioner Elliott, is that because of your insistence on bringing the Personnel Committee is one of the reasons why because of that we do review all tenure resolutions now in executive session and all those things. So I don't want you to think that it hasn't changed anything. I think that there is evidence of that, the fact that we had to review, that we now review all tenure resolutions. I think that was a result
All right.
of your assistance on the Personnel Committee.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for a quick 30-28. I think it should be 30 seconds or less. Dr. Centrone, 30 seconds or less? Yes?
Did we vote on 695?
Yes.
My vote is no.
Okay.
My vote is no.
695, she votes no. All right, executive session.
I'm going to have to go take my new phone.
It's a 30-second. Yeah, you can go ahead. This is quick.
Okay.
This is good.